We're live. Okay, we're live. Slightly later than broadcasted, but the best laid plans of mice and many. I'm just gonna share our good selves into the two groups as we do. So just bear with us a moment. Right, share to a group. First one done, and the second one done. I like to get that straight in because I know some people in the States actually get up through the night to watch, which is
That's a
quite.
great compliment.
Yeah, it
Thank
is.
you.
That's right. So let's go. Um, right, we're thrilled to be back and following the success and enthusiasm of the last interview. The doc has agreed to talk about manifesting, in particular, manifesting consciously, and all the challenges that this brings, and to share his own vast knowledge and expertise on the subject. And having manifested an extraordinary life for himself, he certainly knows the subject. And as I say, he's here with me today. I'm joined once again by the amazing best-selling author, Barefoot Doctor, Stephen Russell. Thank you so much for giving your time generously, Stephen.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for wanting to do it with me. And thank you
No,
for everybody for playing along.
yeah,
I need to tell everybody I'm slightly challenged here because I have no vision of you or me. Well, I'm just seeing a white blank screen as I was last time. So I'm faking being on a video as far as I'm concerned. I'm just pretending that I'm on a video as far as I'm concerned. So you having a totally different experience of this, everybody, than I am.
right.
I'm doing radio. You're doing video. So anyway, but yeah, it's good.
And even on radio, you would still normally see the broadcaster. so, so yeah, we're going to have to get this sorted. Use a different platform for next time. I couldn't find out the reason either, but yeah. So if everyone bears that in mind, I must admit, if I was on the receiving end of that, I wouldn't. It would be a surreal experience. So
It's different. I mean, I've manifested this, right? So I've got to love it. I've got to love it. It's still the Tao. That's the point. I mean, that's the point. I'd say at the root of all magic, this is what we're talking about: Taoist magic, Wu Wei, getting things to happen through your intention, through your will. It is that everything is it's practicing fundamentally the awareness that everything and everyone and everything that happens between everything and everyone is the Tao in motion. Is what the ancient Chinese called the Tao, which means the way, the way of all things as they unfold. And it doesn't. It's not a kind of a way with no consciousness. No, it is consciousness. The whole thing is consciousness and energy moving. And when we are able to train the mind to see the Tao, I see the Tao in the blank screen here. And so then rather than go, oh, that's not fair. I mean, I had a little moment of prima donnery just before we went on, as you know.
yeah,
Instead of kind of getting lost in, oh, that's not fair, because I think it should be like this, you're going, no, wait, look, I've manifested this, or this is manifested. Therefore, I must honor it and look for what is good in it, look for what I get from it and what I can give through that, because it's the Tao I'm honoring. And once you get that frame of mind becoming your kind of your default mode, when you then say, and what I would like to occur here is that through the interaction, however unusual it is for me to be pretending that I'm seeing myself, as it were, that through this interaction, some proper good magic occurs for everybody that's watching it and getting involved in it, and for you, sir, and for me, and for everybody in the world. And if I let that, you can see how by having that intention and knowing that everything I've just said, everybody, you, me, and everything else, that's all the Tao, all of it's Tao. And I'm therefore dancing with the Tao. You can see how the magic then works, because if the whole thing's one big mind and you're kind of guiding the big mind to go, hey, do it like this, man. Let's come and do it like that. Let's have it so everybody has a beautiful day today. You can see how that it does actually work. It does actually work. And I can't guarantee 8 billion people are going to have a beautiful day. That's kind of beyond my power, my power. But I do know that by sending out a little bing to everyone on the planet, even if they're aware of it or not, something beautiful will happen to everybody that will be healing rather than destructive. That I do know. I do know that. I can't prove it, but I do know that.
Yeah, thank you for that. As I was listening to what you're saying there, we've got 14 people live on the call and they're all saying hi. So, hello to everyone. Thank you for joining us. It's
Yeah,
always
hello.
to see you all. Before we did this interview, I've been polling the group, Stephen, and just gathering a few of the more popular questions, and some of them were similar. So, but what I'd like to start off with is, in fact, no, before we do that, I'd like you to begin by talking about your own evolution in regards to manifesting your desires. I mean, I'm sure you weren't always an expert, and what were some of your own aha moments along the way?
Hard moments, did you say?
Like aha moments, you like,
I got one springs to mind.
like
In, it's amazing. I really can laugh genuinely now. In 2012, which is how long ago? Is that
6 years.
five, 5 years ago?
6 years.
2012. Six. Sorry, yeah. My maths has always been one of my weak points. I wasn't going to do it then. I kind of allowed myself to be kind of persuaded into it. I was going to wait a little while longer, a few more years maybe, but it seemed like, okay, 12, 12, 12. Let's put on the big event at Wembley Arena in London, which is a 12,000 seat auditorium, and it was going to be called the Big Om. And it was this thing that I've been working on for decades. It goes along with amps and all the other stuff. It's kind of, I've done, a lot of live events, experimental kinds all over the world. And getting a few hundred people, it's the most I've ever managed it, to Om together and then mess about miking it up and putting that sound through a system without feedback was something I developed over a long period of time. And then if you provide a kind of a sonic backdrop to that, like a carpet for it to sit on, made of sound frequencies and very interesting percussive rhythm and what have you, that's not dominating, but driving it underneath. The effects of it is remarkable, and people will just continue omming. Yeah, I'm talking about. I don't know if anybody know what I mean by omming. The is an om. That's an om, not a bad om. And if you just, when there's a lot of people doing it together and it's mic'd and there's a vibe running underneath it, oh, it's amazing. You just don't want to ever stop. It could go on for hours. And I did it actually once in New York, in Greenwich Village, with about 500 people, all drumming as well and omming together. They had to throw us out of there at 1 o'clock in the morning. I mean, it was really quite something. Anyway, I go on. Why am I even talking about omming? I've lost myself at my own rear story area. Yeah. Anyway, so I was in business partnership with someone who was for some reason not doing what they said they were doing, and their job was raising the finance for this event, which was a lot of money because Wembley Arena, it's big rent on a place like that. The production costs are huge. I had a lot of big acts lined up for it, like at the time, Basement Jacks and Book of Shade. They were the guys that I really was into at that moment, friends and what have you. And it was going to be an amazing extravaganza that would build to the finale of me getting everyone omming together, all mic'd up, with amazing visuals and what have you, and broadcast to the world at the same time through the internet. It was quite a big thing. But anyway, it turned out, right, that it was going to happen on 12/12/12, which is December. Yeah. Okay. It come July, it occurs to me that there's no finance that's coming. So when calling this person about it, they go on the defensive and say they weren't there for the finance. They, in fact, had assumed that they were actually going to be in the show. It was like, oh man, I invite lunacy. I know that. So obviously a quick change of plan. And I'm suddenly thinking, I was listening to that voice the whole way through that was saying, keep going. It's all right. It'll work. Keep going. It'll work. what is it? I mean, what do I need? I mean, can I trust anything? Well, maybe it does. I thought at that point, I don't care. I actually don't care about my intuition anymore. It doesn't matter. It's just kind of interesting, this whole thing. But now what? Because I was in for a lot of money by this point. And at that point, a friend of mine called. I mean, really, at that point where I'm at this, like, I could go really into proper anxiety fit here, but I didn't. And this guy phones me. He's a promoter of events, and telling him about this thing. He says, "Oh, go and see so-and-so." I go and see these big promoters in London, and amazingly, it's actually 3 months to go, they say, "Yeah, we'll put it on." You see, I do manifest. I haven't, However, that was 6 months before. 3 months before, it was my birthday, and I was off to Australia that day to teach a workshop for the weekend. And on the way to the airport, I dropped in to the promoter to sign the contract. Nice thing to do on your birthday, you know? And I get there and the vibe's funny. And it turns out that their management buyout deal with the group they were buying from or selling to or whatever had fallen through. And they didn't have any money. They couldn't go ahead and do it. Oh, and that was my birthday gift from them. So yeah, that was one of my low points. What I did do, though, was persuade all the acts to do it as a charity event at a really amazingly weird and interesting venue in Lewes and Sussex, of all places, called Zoo, run by friends of mine, which is a wild spot. And we did this whole thing with enough firepower to fill up a stadium, actually, for 400 people as a charity event. It was amazing. I mean, it was a beautiful night. And we built an orphanage in Sri Lanka as a result. I was completely broke in a hotel room in Brighton, shivering my ass off because the heating wasn't working in December. But I was feeling good. I remember feeling, I'm loving this, man. This is beautiful. It's a great story, and it'll all be fine. And it has turned out to be very fine. You know, my reward, I think, for that was amped working, and I'm buzzing, man, because I've nearly finished AMP Volume 2. I've got 3 more days, and the thing's done. Ooh, it's so exciting.
Yeah, and isn't Volume 2 absolutely special and spectacular, and takes things right up to the next level from Volume 1, which, so yeah, that's something you're going to have, something we can shout from the rooftops in due course when it's, incidentally, when are you hoping to release Volume 2? I've been asked by quite a few people.
Well, I'm thinking, you see, this is the thing. I also, in my insanely driven way, want to get Volume 3 finished as well by, I see, if I give myself a month now to work on all the lyrics and all the put all the tracks in order, because all the music's done for it already. And then when I get back from America, back to the studio here in Spain at the end of September, I can actually finish Volume 3 quite quickly at that point, and write the book for it, as well as write the book for Volume 2. I would like to release them both together, actually, at the end of September. However, if I don't manage that superhuman feat, I will definitely release the Volume 2 at the end of September, somewhere in September, and Volume 3 in, say, November, October, November, or whatever. That's the plan. That's how I'm seeing it anyway.
Right. All right. Well, you heard it here first. We shall see how that turns out. But as I say, well worth listening. I've been privileged to get a preview of it, and it's just really takes things to the next level.
A couple more days, and you'll get episodes 5 and 6 as well. So you'll get the whole thing. Yeah.
Totally look forward to it. I just started episode 3 the other day. Anyway,
that's my manifesting. That's a good manifesting story. That, I think, in a way, you know, kind of going right down into the pits, but going, okay, look, I do something beautiful. I build an orphanage. That's good. I'm freezing my ass off. I'm broke, but I've done something good. Everything's going to be fine. And then it does turn out really fine, I have to say. So that's my little manifesting story for today.
Great. Yeah, it's comforting to know that even somebody as dedicated and as experienced as yourself can still have the bumps in the road and the diversions and all the rest of it. But as you say, there's always a divine plan behind it, and you still probably end up getting more out of it, but in other ways perhaps, and more people benefit by the experience as well.
Yeah, the point is, this Taoist way of doing magic, you've got to welcome the bumps in the road. You've got to welcome these obstacles, not fight with them, not fear them. You know that the shit's going to happen. I think because you just know that it is. So rather than you go, oh no, don't make it happen, you kind of like, all right, it's all right. Wherever we move with that, and we'll get it to our advantage. It'll come back round, and then we're on it. The key is the intention. My intention for things to work out a certain way. I mean, in the detail, but the atmosphere, the experience, the benefits, etc., that they work out like that. You just hold that, and it will toss you through the yin and the yang. You can't help it, but you've got to love that. That's the ride. That's the whole point of it. That's the fun bit, man. It's like, woo. Otherwise, it would be boring because I've tried it the other way, and it kind of works, but it is boring. And you know.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. As I was saying earlier, we polled the groups to see some of the questions and the challenges that our members have. And one such question came in from Monica. She's asking, how can she switch from manifesting the small stuff, in inverted commas, see, for example, parking spaces, into the bigger things, maybe manifesting a relationship? Do you need a lot more focus or attention to detail over the so-called smaller as opposed to the bigger stuff?
Oh, that's a brilliant question, Monica. And really, and I love your use of the parking space example. That's so cliche, isn't it? I usually forget to do it for those kind of things, actually. The point is, yeah, Monica, this is a great question because what I was saying before, there is no order of difficulty in manifesting things because the things are merely the Tao throwing shapes for you. And big shapes, such as a house, a relationship, a career, a thing, whatever it is, yeah, they're going to use, well, they will take longer simply for the fact that they have far more components to them. Components require time to be built, as in, opportunities take time to develop in people's minds and their lives before they can then offer them to other people who would be you in that instant, for example. When you apply your focus to manifesting a parking place, which is fun. I mean, we all know that one, and it's a perfect proof of how this whole thing works. It's exactly the same focus and attitude and lightness of spirit that you go about doing it for attracting someone into your life to share your time with. And it's done in the same way. When you're driving around, you can't find a place. It's like it looks impossible. It's the same in the world. You're going out with this one and that one and doing this and doing that, and eventually you think, oh, it's impossible. There can't be anyone around who and all of that stuff. But when you're doing the parking, wait, I know, I will manifest. It's the same with this. No, wait, I will manifest this. And then what you do at that point is you come back into yourself and you merge with your soul, because it's from the soul that you have to reach out to the other, not from the personality, not from the place of desire. You have to merge back into your soul, back into the Tao inside of you, which is kind of in the back of you. You lean back inside. You feel your soul. You open your heart so that you're in a kind, decent, respectful state towards others, rather than one that would possibly manipulate them into, coming this way or that way. So you keep the heart open, so you have grace. And then you, without knowing the identity, and it's really important not to try and impose your idea of who it should be onto the person. You connect with the soul of them on the psychic level. Psyche comes from the Greek word for soul. You connect on the soul level, psychically. And you don't know what they look like, but you know what they feel like, because they're in your destiny to come into your life. Therefore, you know them already, just not in this lifetime yet. And the joy, the fun is the reveal, where it's you. And the thing to do is from your soul, in with sincerity, and with openness and love in your heart, you say, I am this person, I am this being. I'm flawed like every other being, and I'm very beautiful, and I have this unique gift that I want to share with you. And I also want to enjoy the gift that you have to share with me. And I welcome you now into my sphere. Come, come, come. And if you do that and you do it with sincerity, I can't be as banal as to say how long it will take for them to come, but in my experience of it, you'll find it will be, and I'm talking about, I've done this with a lot of people, it will work within approximately 90 days at the outside, maybe a bit longer. I mean, don't want to limit it with all that human nonsense, but by doing it, you will attract someone into your life. You might also want to refine it by ensuring that you haven't been bamboozled by any stand-ins, because these things do happen. I'm not wanting to get like creepy about it, but it does occur. So you need to be sure that you're cleansing the psychic field that you're in. That's not an issue to discuss today, but we can always talk about it another time. And cleansing the field surrounding the other as well, just to cleanse it. Is if it is a put on, it will be cast away. That's something that we've got to look at anyway sometime, Danny. You know, like how this whole thing of psychic protection is something very important. But let's assume it's all right, because I only said that because in this modern world, wow, anything can happen and probably will. Once you're clear about it, you draw them to you, they'll come. And then don't blame me when you're going, oh, and he never does this, he never, you know, joking.
That was a brilliant example and explanation of a way to do it. I've never heard that one before, quite in that way. So there you go, Monica. Your question answered, and also Nathu, I'm not sure if I pronounced your name right, was asking about the relationship. So I kind of purposely combined the two questions there. And if I may, I have a question from my JV partner, Isabel, and she'd never think of me if I didn't ask this question. So she asks, how can we release, you perhaps touched on it before, but how can we release the doubts and fears that we won't ever be able to align with what we want, coming from the perspective of trying to manifest something and it just never seems to happen? What would you say to that, Stephen?
Yeah, I know. I've tried to understand and relate to that. That feeling of despair, because it's what it is, isn't it? Of feeling like I am not actually. I've actually brought tears to my eyes because I remember it. I remember those places. It's a horrible space to be, but it's also very beautiful. There's grace in that, in the way that when you can get to that point in that moment where it's like, you know, in the Father, why hast thou forsaken me? You're on the cross and you're going to get crucified. You're getting crucified. And you are meant to be like the Son of God. And you're actually saying, why have you forsaken me? In that moment of that, could you do this to me? And then there's surrender. And there's like, well, it's happening. So surrender. It must be happening for a good reason. Surrender. Then comes grace. And with grace, then comes, I can actually have it all. I can have whatever I want. It's only details anyway. And at that point, you're starting to communicate or commune with the Tao itself. That's the what happens in your own subconscious in the back of you. I'm jumping around here a little bit, but we've got time. Over the fullness of time, we'll discuss this in more depth if you're interested.
Yeah.
Once you feel the connection with that Tao inside of you, then it's like your partner, and then you're aligned. And the key is to not think about what you haven't got and focus on that, because that makes that grow. The key is to focus on the abundance you already have, on the congruence with the flow you already have. So even if you feel a bit awkward and you're not really that flowing, you go like, look, I'm flowing this much or I wouldn't be alive. So that's what I'm focusing on. Even if you think the money you've got or the money you owe, even, like your debt, isn't much of an abundance. It's like, it's a resource. That's what I've got. Okay, focus on the abundance in that rather than the lack in it. And actually the abundance will start to grow. But when you keep focusing on I'm out of congruence, I'm lacking something, that kind of starts growing too, because it goes, yeah, and it starts growing into existence. So we want to give the fuel to the subtle, small, still voice, like growing of the abundance in the tiniest seed of 1 penny. Yeah, I've got this 1 penny. I have this 1 penny. All right. We go from here. That's how it has to be.
Yes.
How it has to be.
Thank you. Yeah, it's all very practical steps you're giving and grounded answers, and which I appreciate. I'm sure those live on the call will be loving this too, as I am. I wonder if we could talk a little bit about the power of altruism when it comes to manifesting. I know you released a video on not New Year's Day, the longest day, and you give us a guided visualization, and I played along with it. When it came to thinking of a person who was struggling, I thought of a family member who had been really struggling for a while. So I included this family member in my visualization, guided by a good self. And within 2 days, his life transformed, turned around in finances, job, relationship. It was just incredible, the unexpected change of events for him. So I wonder if you could just talk to us a bit about altruism and how it can help our own advances.
Yeah, could I ask you first, do you recall having observed his life turn around? Did you notice? I know you probably wouldn't have been looking at it like this, but did you notice any upsurge of blessings in your own life shortly thereafter?
Um, Perhaps not shortly thereafter, but the last month,
Well,
my
yeah, subsequent.
yeah, subsequent, yes, massively. The last month in particular has just been one thing after the other in terms of abundance, in terms of
Hmm.
blessings, in terms of being gifted things. Oh my goodness, yes,
Good,
absolutely.
good. Good. Well, I mean, we can't say that would have been the trigger for it. It was, we don't know, but I feel that that's how it works. So it looks like that to me for sure. When I'm look when we're talking about manifesting, we're talking about doing magic. That it will necessarily appeal to the self-centered aspect of us, the self-referenced aspect. I want this, and this. I want, for me. Therefore, the tendency would be for it to think of it as, well, this is all about me. It's not something I should be thinking about other people in respect. I mean, obviously, wish them well, and may they all benefit somehow by my benefiting, of course. But it's not for me to actually think about other people at this point. It's about me, isn't it? Well, actually, what with the Taoist thing, they make a major point about what they call investing in loss, because we are conditioned in our Western culture, in our basically, capitalist society that's built up over the last few hundred years, to invest in gain, of course, invest in profit, of course. But the Taoists say, no, no, invest in loss. And then what that means is, rather than trying to become somebody, rather than trying to keep continually build up the perfection of my life, rather than be so self-absorbed that it's like, well, I've really got it together now, haven't I? This is really great. Yeah, I've really got it ordered and sorted, and well, it's brilliant. Rather than just that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But rather than that be the focus about this is me doing my thing, you continue lose yourself. You invest in losing all that and returning to the nothingness that you're, well, a flower in the garden, and you're not taking yourself personally anymore. And as this flower, you're a conduit for beauty and for pollen and all the rest of it, for seed of new life, for making honey out of life, as it were, making it sweet for everyone. And that's your role. You're here to channel the Tao. And in doing that, you realize the Tao is in everybody and everybody's suffering. Therefore, you want to somehow give a gift in whichever way you can to the Tao inside everybody to stop the suffering, for the Tao, so the Tao can have a better time. And then the Tao, which is you and everything else, enjoying itself more. It showers you with all kinds of fun gifts and wonderful events and opportunities that you had no idea were coming, as a result. And that's it. The key is caring and just being focus on the others. That's what altruism is. The altro from Latin, is or actually it was Catalan. The other. It's focusing on the other, and it's not trying to be a nice guy or woman. It's not trying to be I'm lovely, I'm right on, this is how you should be if you want to be spiritual. And it's not like I'm doing this because I know this is going to make my manifestations work. Yeah, you're aware of that, but that's not really the trigger. It's because your heart opens and you just feel naturally inclined, as you did when you were a small child, to want to play with everybody and make it lovely for everybody. And allowing that to guide you and be your messier is what will bring the flow of blessings your way. Not like that instant, not the next day necessarily. It might even take a year. I mean, who knows how long these things will take, but generally it will come within 90 days. That's the given wisdom. You put it in and you do a good turn as much as you can for as many people as possible, even just with your thoughts, as you were describing, even just with sending images, sending visions and feelings and intentions. But like there's a guy here where I live in Spain, he's only got one leg and he makes his living out of begging. And I mean, he's done it all his life. I can see that. He always only had one leg. And it's really, I really feel for him. He's a beautiful guy. And every time I go past him, he sees me do it. I take time looking for a euro. I give him the euro and I always hold his hand for his arm for a second, like that, like a brother. And he gets it, like, yeah, I've seen you, man. I've seen you. You're here. It's all right. And then I move on. I don't do that for making my magic work. I do it because I love my brother there, and I could be me sitting on the ground with one leg, and in doing that, that's just part of building up credit in the karmic bank, if you want to put it in that way. And when you need to draw down your next tranche of stuff, you just say, all right, I'm ready to draw down the next tranche of resources that I need, whether that moniker is somebody to love or if it's a whole load of money to do something with, whatever it is. I'm ready for my next tranche. Send it in, and it will send it within 90 days for sure.
Brilliant. I love that. We've got a question from Colleen. She asks, how do you know if you're doing it correctly? And is there a right or a wrong way to do it? Do you need to do it consistently, whatever it is? I guess she's talking about maybe visualization or something, or
yeah. I tell you, this is, all this stuff. Why I'm slightly hesitant to jump in with an answer is because it is so complex and there are so many variables, because we're talking about nothing short of the warp and weft of the fabric of reality itself. I mean, we're talking about the universe, right? Yeah. Fabric of reality extends throughout infinity at the subatomic level and all the way up to this manifest, and goodness knows what beyond this. So the idea that kind of getting involved in that flow to the point that you're actually directing it in some way or other wouldn't require, I don't know, every different possible experience and mode and mood known to humankind would be silly, because, yeah, it will. So there's going to be times where you do it what looks like wrong. You're like, you must be intending ridiculous stuff because all this crazy shit's happening to you. And there are times where you think, I'm really doing it well now. I'm really on it. I really know what I'm doing here. Both of those are completely mistaken. You're not doing it wrong when it goes all funny. That's just it doing its yin yang thing for you. And you're definitely not doing it right when it's going right. I mean, it's not about that. It's that when you repeat on a daily basis, here, I surrender. Say, for example, as part of your daily practice, I surrender, like with some kind of arm motion or whatever, something to signify, I surrender to you, the flow, whatever you want to call it. I surrender to you. I don't know how this whole thing works, because you're the everything. So I'm saying to you, as an aspect of you, that my wish for today, my vote, is for everything to be like this. In a way that I can't conceive of, details wise. Only you can, because you see all details. So I would like you now to manifest the best possible version of that. Go for it. And now I will do an equivalent of that every day. And I'm sure that most days, all I'm doing is really going through the motions. But I have to do it every day to keep myself in practice. And that makes it gradually grow stronger and stronger. And then every now and again, you get these quantum boosts, it suddenly opens up to the next level. But I don't think that happens if you don't do the incremental everyday practice, most of which will be going through the motions. When I did Tai Chi this morning, because I thought I was a bit late for this, I didn't realize I was an hour ahead of myself. So I didn't do it slowly when it got to the Tai Chi bit. I did it quite fast. I did like the fast form. And I wasn't really in it. I was in it moments, but not all the way through. But it didn't matter. So I got to the end. It's like, all right, you've done it. That's the important thing. Now carry on. Had I not done it when I got to do it tomorrow, it wouldn't have worked as well when I got into it somehow. You've got to build up on a daily basis. and expect most of the time it's bullshit. But every now and again, you'll hit a good one, and you'll feel yourself really bringing all your presence to bear on the moment of saying, this is my intention. This is my intention. And when you do it, you will feel that yourself as part of the Tao. You will know yourself as that. You can't contrive those moments. You just have to practice for them. Chance favors the prepared mind.
Beautiful. So I know when people talk about creative visualization and getting into the feeling state and seeing yourself as already being, doing, having, and I picked up when you're saying that you can't manipulate, like, what's the word you use, you can't
Contrive.
yeah, contrive being in the flowing state, or actually see yourself doing that, because sometimes you try and visualize and there's just nothing there, it's just it's blank. And other times, as you say, you can see it in crystal clear paramount color vision and technicolor.
Yeah, but I think the important thing of doing it every day is even when you're not feeling anything, you're still contributing to building those new neural pathways through the brain, which is actually what you're doing by just getting to it even if you're just basically standing at where the work's going on and go, all right, glad to see you're all doing it today, thank you, and going off again and not actually getting in there. There's the neural pathways are being built regardless.
Right. Thank you. Javon asks, I know you've kind of touched on this before, but maybe there's a different perspective to be had. But Javon asks, what's the easiest way to manifest one's desires when you're in the experiencing of what you don't want? I've found it can be a challenge to shift out of the what isness. I've done it, but I've not been able to stay there for long. So I know you talked before about just switching your focus to what you do have, as opposed to the current challenge. Would that be the best way?
Yeah, you've got to be able to see whatever the factors are that are presenting the problem to you, as, if you like, the Buddha in disguise, come to show you something. It's got a gift for you. It's the Tao, it's God, whatever you want to call it, disguised as that person, that situation, that lack of this or whatever it is. And it looks like horrible and it looks like really insurmountable. But once you can see that it is the Tao, the Buddha, the God inside of it, that's just trying to get your attention, it's like a game of hide and seek, and it likes making it a bit rough sometimes to give it dynamics. You can see it and you go, okay, I'm willing to at least think I can see you there. I get it. Okay, so I'm willing to allow for the possibility that this isn't really horrible. It just looks horrible. All right, I'm willing to, and you start relaxing your belly. I'm willing to see this actually could be for my good. This is to love me in some strange way. Okay, and then the Tao behind it is acknowledged. It takes its bow, leaves the stage, and the action changes. But while you're fighting with it and go, this shouldn't be happening, this is wrong, then it it remains. It will remain in place. We have to. It's just surrender. Go. Oh, all right. Okay. I surrender to you. Even like that. Even like that. I surrender to you. You can be the biggest pile of shit in the universe. I surrender to you. And once you say that to the Tao, once it's got your unconditional love, you've got it, and then bang, it releases. That's kind of how it works.
Right.
Go on for hours about this stuff. I hope that's a satisfactory answer.
No, I'm loving this because it's always, I love to get different perspectives on it. And some things you try work, and other things don't seem to be working. So it's nice to hear that it's the yin and yang aspect throwing into the mix. And as you say, some things are a bit more complex and more involved to manifest than others. And sometimes the timing's right, sometimes it isn't. That's also another factor.
Yeah. We have to factor in destiny here. I mean, destiny is a reality. Destiny meaning the arena of experience that has not yet, that no experience has occurred in yet, as far as we know. So, i.e., the future. A destiny is what provides experience for us to continue. And there is a pattern to destiny, which began at the beginning of the universe. Like when you go bang and things come into being, they move in a certain pattern. We just know that. Might not be able to fathom the pattern because it's way too complex, but they definitely move in some sort of pattern. And therefore, they continue moving in that pattern. And there is exponential quantum development as it goes along, which makes it imponderably unfathomable to even figure out. I'm sure somebody will one day, but it will inevitably move the way it's going to move, and always was going to, and always will. And that's where the paradox comes in, that within that general trend, so to speak, it does seem possible to kind of move the current a bit this way, a bit that way, so that you can swerve this and go towards that. It seems like that anyway. So you have to be aware that when you're willing for something to come into being, it might take decades, because the timing of it in your destiny isn't for it to happen until then. And that I've experienced that. I'm experiencing it now. And when I was 30, if I'd have been told you're going to have to wait 30 odd years for such and such, so as someone did say to me, I was like, no, 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 no. But now, having done that and it came round, I could see, oh, beautiful. That was so much better to come this way, because I really get the value from it now. It's so much better than had it happened then. It would have actually messed me right up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the point, never questioning the wisdom of destiny.
Yeah, I know when I first started out on my spiritual path, I always wanted to be a medium. And if someone had told me then it will take at least 10 years before you are even halfway proficient at it, I probably would have given up for it there and then. 10 years? What do you mean 10 years? But obviously, I needed, so many things, more life experience, spiritual growth, etc., the ability to carry the energy and so on. But yeah, I'm just wondering, I'm putting you on the spot here, but for those watching live, is there any chance you could talk us through a little guided visualization reference to manifesting? Is that something, like I say, I know I'm putting you on the spot, but is that something you could do for us, Stephen? Please.
I live on the spot.
Yeah.
But could you, would you want to specify what manifesting what, or just manifesting in general?
I guess manifesting generally, I suppose, if those watching would hold their own particular intention as to what it is they would like to bring into being.
Yeah,
Bring
we'll do this.
and I guess just experiencing your methods or one of your techniques. I know you've got infinite amounts, but it'd just be nice to hear your voice and have us guided. It would be a real treat. So
you are so kind. You're such a lovely man. Thank you for these kind things you're saying. I'm making this up as I go along, right? So I have no idea what I'm going to say yet. All right. Let yourself relax, and if you can, close your eyes. If you can't, don't worry about it, but focus in your own space rather than on stuff going around you. Let your body slump internally, like let the weight of your head, chest and shoulders slump like a bleh, and drop down into the lower part where it wants to go, and let yourself feel heavy on the chair. But at the same time, imagine someone standing behind you, lifting the back of your head upwards, so that the back of your neck gets long, and that way your spine is upright, and therefore you have dignity, which is the literal meaning of dignity. It means being upright, and yet your weight is dropped down, so you have gravitas. You're like with the world. You've got your feet on the ground, so to speak, but the head and the chest, the head area, very light, kind of floating upwards as if to the heavens. So it's like you're in heaven, in the realm of heaven, but you're still with your feet on the ground. It's the idea of that. Let the two shoulders broaden out, like from each other, move away from each other to give you more breadth across your chest between the shoulder blades, just to give your heart a bit more space and your lungs a bit more room to do the breathing. Allow your solar plexus, your upper abdominal area, your stomach, to soften and let go a little bit, just a little bit. It will always be a bit tight there, but let it relax a little bit. And then notice that encourages you to want to take slightly longer, slower, more luxurious breaths. So become aware of the rise and the fall of your belly as the breath enters and leaves, and start to enjoy the actual mechanical, start to enjoy the process of the breath moving in and out of your body. Being aware that when you're doing that, you are actually interacting with the entirety, or at least in the atmosphere of the planet, because it's the same air everybody's breathing. It's kind of interesting, isn't it? So you're breathing in the air of the universe, if you like, and you're breathing out the air of the universe to everyone again. You're partaking of some kind of basic intrinsic interaction of life force exchange, basically. As well as which, be aware that each out breath expels or dissolves the illusory ties that bind you to your memories of the past. It doesn't mean you get amnesia, to the contrary, your memories become a lot sharper and more focused, but that you no longer feel compelled to ascribe those memories the significance that you were giving them hitherto, i.e., trauma memories no longer can hurt you because they've gone. Joyful memories no longer going to swell your head, for example, or make you nostalgia because they're gone too. But you honor them all because it was all the Tao. So there's that feeling of being comfortable with your own story, with who you are. And you are releasing all the connection to everything that's gone before every time you breathe out. So you're fresh, you're empty, ready to receive the next moment of life coming in. And it may seem irrelevant to manifesting this, but it's intrinsic. The incoming breath is bringing you your next moment of life, which essentially is all you have or that you can rely on. And that next moment of life is the only thing that is going to facilitate you manifesting anything and everything. So this next breath of air in has to be honored and treated with respect as being the very fundamental ground of you being able to do your manifesting magic. So we're honoring the breath. And you then become aware that you have a front part of your body and a back part of your body. The front part of your body is where you conduct your internal narrative, the stories that you tell yourself to describe the world to yourself, which stories were developed from when you were a tiny child. And I love children. I have three grown men, sons of my own. I've done many baby massage sessions. I've been at many births doing acupuncture. I love babies. I love children. But you got to admit, I mean, 2-year-old who were starting to create a story. What do they know about anything, really, man? I mean, haven't got a clue about how the world works. Yeah, that's the story you're running on. And that's the story that's running in the inside of the forehead there constantly, with arguments going on about it, debates going on about it, evaluations going on about it, and so on and so forth. And the reaction to all of that is a tension in the belly. That's why the belly's always tight. It's because as animals, we're programmed over millions of years to be afraid, and right that we are, because it keeps us alive, keeps us out of danger. But because the immediate danger of wild animals, people with clubs in their hands and what have you, and dying of starvation and what have you, are relatively removed from our experience now. Our intellects do not know what to do with the impulse of fear. So they create stories, and we're really good at it. So we believe the stories and we think they're reality, but they're not. But they are going on and they rule us, and we react to them in our bellies and get fearful or excited or what have you, all according to the stories we're telling ourselves. And that will never change. It doesn't matter how enlightened you become, it doesn't matter how transcendent you become, that will always be going on. It's what it's there for. It's the entertainment going on in the front of your body and brain at all times if you want to tune into it. However, the rear part of you, everywhere backwards of the middle of your ear holes, roughly, is the original part of you. It's where you grew out of in the womb as an embryo. The cells started in the back, in the spine, and grew outwards towards the front from there. It's your original home. When you fight with Taoist boxing skills, you always stay firmly back inside. So when you deliver a blow, you're using your body weight falls in behind it. When you receive a blow, you're able to yield and withdraw all the way into the back. And the front part, you might have a moment of fear seeing an oncoming fist or foot, but you will not feel fear. You'll just be fascinated by the play of energy going on, and therefore able to operate far better. So what we're doing here is we're allowing ourselves to take occupancy of the rear part now. Feel the breath in your back, feel the breathing going on in your back, and it entices you backwards. You start feeling like you're starting to sit back in a very well designed bucket seat in a racing car. And as you sit back in the seat, so that you're leaning right back inside, with your head leaning right, your mind rather leaning right back into the back of your skull, you realize you've got a far greater view of the road, a much more panoramic view of the racetrack. And so you've got more power over the vehicle. Now, the front part of you, where all the engine is and all the noise is going on, is not your concern because it's got the hood on it. Your concern is driving the thing. So you don't have to keep looking under the hood at all those ridiculous things going on in the engine. You just let them carry on doing their thing. The noise, in other words, the noise of the human drama, you let that just be going on its own. But you, the driver, are sitting right back with full command of the road. And you want to manifest um, things. First of all, you realize, you acknowledge that you have manifested this, whatever it is you're experiencing or perceiving yourself experiencing. This is what you've manifested so far. You'll take note that in this so far manifestation of yours, it's not all bad, not all good. It's a mixture of both. It's a mixture of yin and a mixture of yang. There's things about it. It could be better. That's why you want to manifest new things. But all in all, it holds its balance, maybe a little bit tipping over into the unpleasant more than the pleasant at times. But, it's got its yin and its yang. So you then acknowledge that anything you manifest from here on in will also have its yin and its yang. And either your mind go, no, but if I manifest more money, that'll just be good. Then I won't have anything problems anymore about doing this or that. But actually, yeah, you'll have to figure out where to put the money. You might, if you haven't dealt with your fears and anxieties, you'll be afraid of losing the money or spending it wrong or whatever. There'll always be another side to it, in other words. So you're aware that this rush to manifest stuff needs to be tempered a little bit by the wisdom that says, really, does it really make any difference? Because I'm here now. This is the gift. I'm alive. This is the biggest gift of all. I'm never, ever going to manifest anything more important than just being alive. Because being alive, I can have everything. If I'm not alive, I can't do anything, can't manifest anything. So being alive is number one gift. And that's beautiful. And then you start to look at the amount of abundance there is supporting this fact at the moment, despite what your human stories describe it as. Your inner self knows, yeah, I'm here, I'm supported. The way provides for me. This is very exciting. I might not understand it or be able to make sense of it, but it's exciting. It's good to be alive. This is very beautiful. I have great abundance. I've got the universe here. This is amazing. And with that kind of attitude, that kind of energy about you, now, without investing any belief in it at all, without investing any rationale in it, without debating whether it will work or not work. In other words, do not put energy into this. You just see the picture of it. This is most important because all that does is it gets in the way. If you start trying to, is this going to work? I've really got to put my energy. I've really got to mean it. Don't. Just see the picture. Like you can see 5 ostriches dancing across the sky, wearing tutus, dancing the can-can, singing. She wore an eeny weeny little yellow dog. You can see that, but you don't believe it. And I want you to see this in exactly the same way because it's a really powerful technique. You're running up a mountain, the zigzag path that takes you up to the peak. But you're bionic, so every step that you take propels you a ridiculous amount of distance, and you're going at such a speed that it's like you're flying up there, and you variously see it from the side, from the head camera. And when you're looking through the head camera, the road whizzing to the path whizzing towards you, you're actually feeling the sensation. Don't believe this, right? You just see it until you're suddenly at the top with your arms up in the triumph posture. I've done it. I don't know how I did that, but I've done it. And as you've done that, you look down and you realize that at the foot of the mountain, while you were doing this enormous feat, your reward from the world, remember, none of this makes sense. You don't have to make sense, just see it. Was a whole load of people have driven up and come up in horses and carts, carrying all these things like treasure chests with loads of money and amazing things and beautiful people smiling and laughing and there to be your friends and a whole feeling of love and beauty and wonderfulness. Don't believe it, just see it. It's like this amazing party, like a hoedown, and they're all really having fun. Everyone's having fun and you're loving it. So you just fly down the mountain. You run so fast, but with your arms open this time, and you get down there and you embrace everyone and everything about it. And you let that feeling be absorbed by your chest, let it come into you. So you're in your back, and the front of you now, rather than being full of fear, is full of this amazing feeling of, oh, this is lovely. I love this. Just feel that. Don't try and believe it. Just feel it. And now forget it. Let it go completely. Just let it go. However, you need to return to a snippet of that vision. It doesn't matter which bit of it. It could be you on top of the mountain looking down. It could be you down the mountain now embracing everybody and everything. You've just got to see a snippet of it very quickly, very often. Not very often, 4 times today, maybe 10 times today if you're really on it. But quick, like, and don't go, oh, I hope this is working. Or did I do that right? Just forget about it. Just see it like you see the ostriches. You just see it like, and then out. That's how it works. That's the trigger. And I would love to know in a month what sort of stuff happened, because I can't claim, oh yeah, it's all going to go amazing for you, but things will happen. And it'll change the vibe. It will change the way the magic's working for you. It will definitely increase the success rate. It's weird not seeing myself, because I don't know if I look like a complete idiot, man. I don't know. Do I look it?
You look great. You've got a glowing brown suntan, and you make me look translucent by comparison. I look like totally white and pasty. But I have to say that was fantastic. That was so inspirational. It was entertaining. And it gave us another more than a glimpse of you just being in the flow and just starting to speak whatever's coming through you. I'm sure others on the call will have loved playing along with that, whether they're live or they're catching the replay later in the day or the coming days. That was amazing. Thank you so much, Stephen. That was just awesome. Really buzzing after that. Yeah. And I love the bit about capturing a snippet of it, in the coming days, subsequent times a day. I love that, and I'll be using that. Fantastic. Awesome. Brilliant. I wondered if you had any final thoughts for Stephen. It's okay if you haven't.
I have, actually. It was been something that all of that's quite long-winded, relatively speaking. One real quick one and really easy one to remember. Like, this left side of your face.
Yes.
Imagining seeing it from just behind you to the left. Because that's what you've left behind, i.e. that's the past, and then this is the future kind of thing. You're looking to you in the future. You look at the side of your face and you see it looking really amazing. Like the look of somebody who is just so delighted to be alive, and it's so on it, so confident, so with the flow, so successful in manifesting everything, and so just loving it with just full appreciation and confidence. And, see that very often, and healthy as well. That's strong and healthy. You keep seeing that you're quick on off, just you with that face, like you're winning basically, and it really works. That's the quick shortcut one that everyone could. And the last thing I have to say is, man, you've got to stand by for AMP Volume 2. It is going to be amazing.
It is. I can't endorse that enough. It's fantastic. Volume 1 was great, amazing, and I thought, how can you top that? But by God, you did. Not only topped it, but you just really took it to next levels. Another quantum jump, to be honest.
Yeah, they all will be. Yeah. And you know what? I had a breakthrough. Do you want to? I'll go just because this is funny. I had this thing, AMP Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, and I created the music for 3 volumes, which is 18 hours of music. Right? It's quite a feat. I love every minute of it. But then I'm going, well, then what do I do? What do I do after Volume 3? Oh God. And I started thinking, because AMP is brilliant, the name. I love the whole entity of it. And it took a friend of mine to say, Volume 4. I'm like, oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. Honestly, I promise I had never thought I could do it. It's so funny. That's one of the weirdest things that's ever happened, that I didn't know I could do Volume 4.
You could keep 12 if need be.
Yeah, I can see it as well.
Yeah, if it's flowing through you, then it'd be crime not to be honest.
Yeah, maths was always a weak point with me.
Me too. Maths. Yeah.
All right. I love you, man. Thank you so much, and thank you everybody for entertaining me for all this time, or allowing me to entertain you. Thanks for giving me the space to speak, Danny. You're very generous. Thank you.
Big love to you. Much appreciation, gratitude, love. Thank you to everyone watching live and for your comments and your questions. We hope that gives you lots of answers and value, and I know it certainly has for me. So until next time, and I'm sure there will be next time, stay tuned. Bye for now.
Bye.
And roll.